everyone, welcome to our channel Knowledge of Friends. Subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon for the latest update. आज हम जो क्लास कर रहे हैं वो वेब टेक्नोलॉजीज़ की क्लास कर रहे हैं, जो कि क्लास नंबर आपका 12 है. ऑलरेडी हमने 11 क्लासेस कर लिया है. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इट्स अ ह्यूज रिक्वेस्ट टू ऑल द सब्सक्राइबर, प्लीज़ go through with the subscribe button and please like, share and subscribe our channel so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. As I told you about Unit 1 we had cover up and Unit 2 भी हमने complete कर लिया है. Unit 2 जो है वो हमने 3 पार्ट्स में डिवाइड किया था. दैट इज़ फर्स्ट हमने HTML को कंप्लीट किया है, उसके बाद हमने CSS कंप्लीट किया है, देन वी हैड कवर अप द XML एज वेल. नाउ विल स्टार्ट और वी हैड स्टार्टेड विद Unit 3 जिसमें हमने Unit 3 का जो नाम है वो आपका स्क्रिप्टिंग एंड नेटवर्किंग है, जिसमें हमने अभी 2 से 4 क्लासेस कर लिया है, जो कि आपका स्क्रिप्टिंग पार्ट हम ऑलरेडी कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं, क्योंकि यूनिट 3 भी हम पार्ट 1 और पार्ट 2 करके कर रहे थे. तो जिसमें हमने स्क्रिप्टिंग पार्ट कंप्लीट कर लिया है, नेटवर्किंग पार्ट हमने लास्ट क्लास से स्टार्ट कर लिया है, एंड होपफुली वी विल एंड अप विद द नेटवर्किंग पार्ट इन टुडेज क्लासेस. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इट्स अ ह्यूज रिक्वेस्ट टू ऑल द सब्सक्राइबर एंड ऑल द व्यूअर्स, प्लीज लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब अवर चैनल and please support us. That is required. And now in the last class we had discussed about the TCP/IP server socket here, and that we are talked about the server socket that is int port, and server socket end port and max queue, or server socket end port and max queue and address, and that we had done using that accept method. Now we'll discuss write a Java program for client Java program for client server chatting application using TCP/IP socket. So that's what we have to cover up. So Java program for a client server chatting application using the TCP/IP socket here, that we have to continue with. So in the case the server program will be writing out that is import java dot input output, that is an abstract, and then we have completed. Then after that import java dot net, then class s2, and starting with a curly bracket here. Then after that we will start with a public void, public static void main string args throws exception, then start with another bracket, system dot out dot print ln, that is system dot print ln, then the server started dot that is void, they close it. Then after that try server socket equals to new server socket 1 2 3 4 while true, then start the curly bracket, socket listen, socket equals to server dash socket dot accept buffered reader client, input equals to new buffered reader new output string reader, that is listen, socket dot get input stream, then buffered reader server input equals to new buffers reader, that is new, in that same case new input stream reader, that is system dot in, then data output stream client out equals to new, that is data output stream listen socket dot get output stream, then string client str server str, then server str server input dot read line, then after that we'll continue here with that read line. After that we have here that is in the terms of that what we are going to do is like a string client that we are doing it, and in the reference towards we will be just going to the server string that will write it down, server str equals to server input dot read line, then client dot out dot write bytes server string class /n, then client str equals to client input dot read line, then system dot out dot println, that is client str, then this is the curly bracket, this is end of while loop, then another one end of a try block, then start with a catch exception e, this is the catch block immediately starts here, and with that this is a code exception is displayed using the get message, and we will be using that get message here, that is the system dot out dot print ln error plus e dot get message, then this is other color, this is a catch ends, and this is the end of main, and this is end of the server class s2. This is what we are dealing with, and that is the end of it. Now this is a server program whole we are going we had done here is this is a server program. Now we will do a client program here. That we are dealing with, that is somewhat relatedly long, but yes itna to hum log karte hain CS so now we'll go ahead, import java dot input output, import java dot net dot abstract, then class C2 start curly bracket public static void main, that is string args throws exception, then with another curly bracket here, then system dot out dot print ln, enter something to start communication, then try another curly bracket while that is true, then with another curly bracket here, that is we are going to do it, that is socket s1 equals to new socket, that is 1 2 3 4 buffered reader user input equals to new buffered reader, that is new input stream reader, that is system dot in. Then after that we have another one, that is for the buffered, reference towards the buffered here, that is with regard of it, buffered reader server input equals to new buffered reader new input stream reader, that is s1 dot get input stream, that is closing this tag. Now we will go ahead with the data output stream server dot out equals to new, that is with reference towards the client here, and that's what we have to discuss as well. So here we'll be going with data output. Data output is string server out equals to new, then data output stream, that is s1 dot get output stream, then is string str1, then we have str string, that is user input dot red line, then server out dot write bytes, that is str plus \n, then str1 equals to server input dot read line, then system dot out dot println, that is str1. This is ln is not existing, print only, print str1. Then s1 here, in the regard of it, system dot out here, but print str as I told you about it. Now when s1 dot close, then we have, this is an end of while loop and this is end of try loop, and now we'll start with a catch exception. That is, the catch block starts immediately here, and that is starting with the curly braces. Then we have a system dot out dot println, that is error plus e dot get message, that is curly bracket, and then of course this. Then we have an end of catch and end of main and end of client class as C2. What we will get as an output here in the case while we are talking about, so here that it is Java S2 Java, that is Java C2 dot Java and Java S2, that server started at wait. So this will be get and the start of the client, and then hello I am Anuradha, hello I am Anuradha. Then the server console, the types of messages. Okay, so this was the type that we'll get as an output. Now we'll discuss related to the datagram, that what we have to discuss here. In the case of the datagram, what they can ask you is what is datagram, give any 4 methods of UDP socket programming. In the case of the datagram, if I'm talking about, so the datagram is an independent self-contained message sent over the network whose arrival and arrival time and the content are not guaranteed. It is the basic transfer unit associated with a packet switchable network and the application that can communicate via the datagram, send and receive completely independent packet of information. The java.net package contains the 3 classes to help you write a Java program that use the datagram to send and receive the packets over the network, that is your datagram socket. And then after that you have datagram packets and a multicast socket as well. So I will just write it down for those that it consists of, that is datagram socket, datagram packet, and a multicast socket, socket as well. And these were the networks that receives over the network here. Now talking about the method and the descriptions here. So the method we have is that method and the description you can write it down, and that method I will be telling you so that you will be getting it out. And the first method we have is your init address get by name, that is string host name. So in the regard of it, that this method returns the IP address when the host name is given. Now talking about with another method that what we have to discuss here, and that is in related to the second, that is init address get address, that is this method returns the IP addresses. The next is init get port, this it returns the port number. The next we have is your byte, that is get data, this is it returns the data containing in the datagram, and this is stored in the array of the bytes. The next we have is int get length, it returns the length of the data obtained by the get data method here. Now we will be doing a program, that is write a Java program for a client server communication using the datagram, in which the client sends some message to the server and the server displays it on the console window. That what we have to do it. We'll just write a program name and then we'll continue with that, and hopefully we will end up with this class as I told you about it. So here the program, what we have to write it down, it is a Java program for client server communication using datagram, in which client sends some message to the server and server display it on the console window here. So in the regard of it, you have to write a Java program for a client server communication using the datagram, in which the client sends some messages to the server and the server displays it on the console window. Now we'll discuss about the UDP client program, that what we have to discuss here. For the UDP client program here, so for that we will be writing it out, and for that sake, that is your this is for the UDP program. So we'll just go ahead is import java dot input output, import java dot net, then class UDP client, then start another curly bracket, then we have public static void main, that is string args throws exception, then another curly bracket start with that, then we have buffered reader user input equals to new buffer, buffered reader new input stream reader, that is system dot in. Now this is creating the client socket. So here the datagram socket client socket equals to new datagram socket. This is getting the IP address of the host, that is app. Now next one is init address IP add equals to init address dot get by name, that is app here. Now this is creating the buffer for sending the data here, and after that we will be continuing writing a program with regard of it, that is a byte output. So here byte out data, that is a new byte, that is 1024. Okay, so that is reading the input through the keyboard, and with regard of it we will be writing a further program that is related to the string in that case. So here string str equals to using the user input dot read line then out data equals to str dot get byte, that is creating the datagram packet in which the data is encapsulated, and where after that the datagram packet, that is your packet 1 equals to new, and then we have a datagram packet, that is out data out data dot length dot ip, this comma ip at 1 2 3 4. This is sending the packet to the server. Now client socket dot send, this is packet 1, this is closing the client connection, client socket close, then closing all the curly brackets here. So now we'll discuss about the UDP server program, and here we had discussed about UDP client program. Now we'll discuss UDP server program that is related in that, and after that we will discuss some of the theories as well that is related to it. UDP server program. In the term of it, so import Java, this is all same, so yes, okay, I will be writing for you as well. Import Java dot input output, then import Java dot net, then class UDP server, then after that curly bracket, public static void main, that is a string args throws exception, then start another curly bracket. This is creating the socket for the server, that is datagram socket server socket equals to new datagram socket, that is 1 2 3 4. This is array which reverses the input data getting from the client. So for that we will be writing it out as byte in data, that is equals to new byte, that is 1024. And now for the while, that is true, we'll take a loop here, while loop, start with the while loop, while true, start another curly bracket, that's creating the datagram packet. So we'll do that, datagram packet, that is packet 2 equals to new datagram packet, that is in data dot in, that is data dot length. The data from the client is received in the packet, and so for that server socket dot receive, that is packet 2. Okay, now the string str equals to new string, that is packet 2 dot get data. Then this is a printing the received data on the content of the server, so we'll be printing it out as like system dot out dot print ln, that is str, then closing all the curly brackets here, so we'll get the output. So now we'll deal with the short short answer questions with their that has been asked. So they had asked you about how a JavaScript works. So here, in the terms of JavaScript is a client-side language that we can place the JavaScript code inside the normal web page document, and when the browser loads the page, the browser has a built-in interpreter that reads as JavaScript code built in the page and runs it, and the JavaScript is written inside it, and that you can write it down like script language equals to, that is JavaScript, and then since so, and of course the script tag will be the close here. So this is how you can represent it out. Now we'll discuss about the difference between the static and a dynamic web page. So here we'll discuss about it, difference between static and dynamic web page. So in the reference towards the static and the dynamic web page, this has been asked in the 2 marks, and there you have to, at least 2 marks में आपको 4 points को reference बताना पड़ेगा. And for that sake, for the reference towards the static here, that the first difference is that the content of the static web page remains the same until someone changes them explicitly, and the dynamic web page, that the contents of the dynamic web page are behaviorable and they get changed for the different visitors as well. For the static, the second difference we have is that the static web page are simple to design, and for a dynamic, the dynamic web page are complex to design as well. For the static here, that it takes the less time to get loaded on the web browser, and for the dynamic, it takes more time to get loaded on the web browser. For the static, that the scripting language used to create the static web page are HTML, JavaScript are written down here. HTML, JavaScript and CSS. For the dynamic, the scripting language used to create the dynamic web page is your Ajax, VBScript, PHP, ASP, CGI, and so on. These were the languages that is used to create a dynamic web page. Now we'll discuss what is the benefit of using the JavaScript code in an HTML document. That in the case that following are some significant benefits of the using a JavaScript code in an HTML document. The first is that the client-side data validation can be possible using the JavaScript, and the second is that we can access the HTML element. That means that we can have a control on HTML, a body, and of course the title. We have a control on that, these tags, and since JavaScript is based on the programming construct, we can control the logic of the simple scripting languages. For example, if the mouse pointer is moving over a text, then change its color, and the JavaScript can determine the visitor browser and can load the page accordingly. Now we'll discuss what is the need of the client side scripting. Client side scripting क्यों ज़रूरी थी, सर्वर साइड स्क्रिप्टिंग भी कंफर्टेबल थी, यूज़ हो सकती थी. तो क्लाइंट साइड स्क्रिप्टिंग की क्या ज़रूरत पड़ी? Like following are the issues that get handled using the client side scripting. The first issue that it is that the need is that simple scripting languages like HTML and XML represent the data on a web page in a simplest manner. The second need is that the scripting languages like JavaScript and HTML are useful for enhancing the interactivity to the users with the web browser. The third need is that mathematical evaluation is also possible using the client-side scripting. The fourth is using the client-side scripting languages, the web page gets designed for the user, provide a graphical user interface using the user can input his data in an elegant manner, and this data can be submitted to the database or any server-side scripting languages in order to process it further. The fifth need is that the input validation can also be possible using the client-side scripting language like JavaScript. And the sixth is using the cascading style sheet with the client script, and that looks feel of the web page that can be enhanced as well. Now, what is the JavaScript statement? That give an example. The segment basically statement is the JavaScript is very much similar to C. That is, for example, that we have is related to it that sum plus equals to 10, or sum equals to sum plus 10. So that can be written in the JavaScript as well. So that is the representation here. Now we'll discuss moreover about related to the another question that can be arrived as, give any 3 uses of JavaScript. So the JavaScript, the first uses is that the JavaScript can be used to create the some web application such as calculator, calendar, paint like application. And the second uses is that JavaScript can be used to detect the visitor browsers, and JavaScript can be used to validate the data as well. Now talking about the another question that can be arrived is, what kind of comments are supported by the JavaScript. So JavaScript supports the following comments, like first we have this that is used to specify the single line comment. The second we have is the slash and asterisk that can be used to specify the multiple line comments here. And the XHTML, that is the another comment we have is like this is a command that is used in the JavaScript. Now explain how the string literals are used in the JavaScript. In that term, the string is a collection of the characters, and the string literals are used within the single quote or a double quote. And what are the use of the word var in the JavaScript, जो कि हम var word use करते हैं JavaScript में ज़्यादातर. तो ये इसका क्या मतलब होता है, that is the word var is used to define the variables of the numeric or the string type. And what is the use of the pop-up boxes in the JavaScript? Pop-up boxes JavaScript में क्या use होता है उनका? In the case of that, if I'm talking about, there are the 3 types of the pop-up boxes used in the JavaScript. Using the these pop-up boxes, the user can interact with the web application as well. The next they can ask you is, what are the advantages of indirectly embedding the JavaScript in the web document. So following are the advantages of indirectly embedded the JavaScript in the web document. That is, the first is that the script can be hidden from the browser. The second is the layout of the presentations of the web document that can be separated out from the user interaction through the JavaScript. And the next question they can ask you, what are the properties and the methods object window for the screen output. That is, following are the some properties and the methods of the object windows. That the first is that the property writer of object window is used to display the something on the screen. The second is the method alert, prompt and confirm are used for the handling the screen output and the keyboard input as well. Now talking about the types of JavaScript statement with examples. So the types, if we are talking about types here, types of JavaScript statement. So in that, the first type we have the various types of JavaScript statement we have is the 5 types basically I will discuss here. The first is simple assignment statement. The second is conditional statement. The third is object manipulation statement. The fourth is comment statement, and the fifth is exception handling statement. So these were the 5 types of the JavaScript statement that I used, that is single assignment statement, conditional statement, object manipulation statement, comment statement and exception handling statement as well. Now we'll discuss more about regarding what is the use of the all and DOM tree traversal. The all in the object model collection, which is used to refer all the HTML element for representing all the element present on the HTML document, that the all is used. And list any the 2 types object used in the JavaScript with its purposes. So the object that can be used for the JavaScript is the first is math object, and the second you can represent anyone, that is date object, or the other one that we had discussed above in the last classes. And for the math object, that the object provides the useful method that are required for the mathematical computation. For example, for computing the square root of the square number, that is squared num method is used, that I told you about it. And for finding out the minimum value of a and b, that mean ab method is also used. And for the date object, the object is used for obtaining the date and time. For example, using the getTime function, and that the number of the millisecond that can be represented as well, that can be obtained as well. Now talking about what is DHTML. The DHTML stands for the dynamic HTML, and it is basically used for creating the dynamic web page using the DHTML web developers they develop in the regard of that can control how to display and the position of HTML element in the browser window. Now we'll talk about explain the use of the Ajax in the development. In the case of the Ajax in the web development, the Ajax is an asynchronous JavaScript, and it allows the developer to exchange the data with the server and update the part of the web document without reloading the web page as well. Talking about what is TCP. TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol, and it is a connection-oriented reliable protocol. It supports the transfer to the data in the continuous stream as well. Now, what is a reserved port? You have to give an example. For the reserved port, there are some ports which are reserved for a specific services, and these ports are called reserved ports, and various ports number is specified to their services and are given in the following. Like we will be drawing a sort of a table that here we'll be discussing about that what port having which type of services number, and in the regard of it we'll discuss here. So here we have a port number. These were the services. So in the port number, first we have a port number that is 21, then 23, 25, 80, and then we have 110 in the regard of it. For the 21, we are the services has been used as FTP. For the 23, we have a telnet, 25 SMTP, 80 HTTP, and 110 that is POP3. So the use level of process and the services generally use port numbers, that is 1024 here. So that is greater than or equals to 1024. So what is init address? The init class from the java.net package represents the IP addresses, and it works in the either host name and the numerical IP addresses and to the corresponding host that I had told you about it. Now for the init addresses, a class that offers many useful methods for handling the IP addresses and the host name as well. What are the factory methods? Init addresses class offers many useful methods for handling the IP addresses and the host name, and these were known as the factory method. So the factory method I told you about it in the last class as well. And the factory method, that is the first we have is get localhost, then second is your get by name. हमने इस पे सब पे एक प्रोग्राम भी किया था, अगर आपको याद होगा या आपने अगर वो क्लासेस देखी हैं तो get all by name. तो तीनों पे हमने एक प्रोग्राम किया था to be specify all these things. Now we'll talk about explain the term server and the client. What are the servers and the clients? So server is a device which has a resource and from which the services can be obtained. For example, there are the various types of servers such as web server, which is for storing the web page, and there are the print servers for managing the printer services, and these are the data services which stores the database as well. Reference towards the client is a device which wants to get the services from a particular server. Now we'll discuss about what define the term socket. A socket is basically an endpoint of the two-way communication link between the two programs running on the network, and typically these programs are the server programs and the client program. The socket is always a controlled interface into which the application can send and receive message and to and from the another application as well. Now we'll discuss about what is URL. For identifying the document on the internet, the uniform or universal resource locator, that is URL, is used. Now in the term of it, what is the different constant for using the server socket classes? We had discussed about it, and the various ways by which the server socket that can be created as follows. What we have is in the reference towards it, that is your server socket, input, The second one is server socket int port, that is int max q, and the third one is server socket int port int max q init address local address. Now talk about what is datagram. A datagram is an independent and a self-contained messages that sent over the network whose arrival time and contents are not guaranteed, and it is a basic transfer unit associated with the packet switch network. So this will be the end of the class. First of all, it's a huge request to all the subscriber, please go through with the subscribe button and please like, share and subscribe our channel so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. So here we're gonna discuss the unit 1 and unit 2, unit 3. Here we had discussed about it, and now we'll discuss about unit 4 and unit 5 as well. In the regard of it, if I'm talking about that we had covered up the unit 1, as I told you about the introduction part, that introduction and the web development strategies and history of the web and the internet, that protocol governing web and writing of web projects connecting to the internet, introduction to the internet services and tools, introduction to the client server computing, core Java, introduction, operator and data type, variables, array, methods and classes, inheritance, package and interface, exception handling, multi-threaded programming, input output, Java applet, string handling, event handling, introduction to AWT control, layout managers as well. In the unit 2, that what we had covered up, as I told you about, that we had divided into 3, that is HTML and CSS, and then we have an XML as well. And in the case of that, we had discussed web page designing, which is HTML, list, table, images, frames, forms, CSS, documents, type definition, XML, DTD, XML schemas, objects, model, presenting and using the XML, processors, DOM, stack and dynamic HTML as well. In the case that we had discussed about unit 3rd, that is the scripting and networking हमने पूरा complete कर लिया है, where we had covered up about the JavaScript introduction, document, form, statement, functions and objects, introduction to Ajax. And in the unit unit 3rd में जो second part है networking, वो हमने already discuss कर लिया है, that is init addressing, init address factory method and instance method, TCP/IP, that is client socket, URL connection, TCP/IP server socket and datagram. Unit 4 में हमने will start with the next class, that is enterprise is the Java bean, that is preparing a class to be a Java bean, creating a Java bean properties, types of beans, stateful session bean, stateless session beans and entity beans as well. The second is Java, that is database connectivity, that is JDBC, merging the data from the multiple table, that is joining the manipulating the database with the JDBC, prepared statement, transaction processing, stored procedures as well. In the case of the unit 5, that what we have to cover up in the next coming classes, that in terms of it, that the servlets, that is servlets otherwise overview and architecture, interface servlets and the servlets life cycles, handling the HTTP GET request, handling HTTP post request and redirecting the request to the other resources, sessions tracking, cookies and the sessions tracking with the HTTP sessions as well. In the Java server page, that is JSP, that is introduction, Java server page overview, first Java server page examples and an implicit object scripting, standard actions, directories, custom tag libraries, that what we have to cover in the next coming classes. First of all, it's a huge request to all the subscribers, please go through with the subscribe button and please like, share and subscribe our channel so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. And what we are providing is what we are uploading the videos, you can go through with that. And do like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you, hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and give a suggestion on the comment box. Thank you.